Good evening, I'm Hafiz Marzukhi. Our top stories for tonight: give up Crimea or joining NATO, says Trump to Zelensky ahead of their talks in Washington. And Cambodia rejects Thai landmine claims. All this and more coming up on AWANI International. Donald Trump says Ukrainian leader Volodymyr Zelensky could end the war with Russia, but retaking Crimea or joining NATO is off the table. Zelensky is currently in Washington with European leaders for talks with the US president. The meeting comes after Trump's Alaska summit with Russian President Vladimir Putin on Friday, which Washington says bring great progress but no deal to end the war. During the meeting, Putin agreed to security guarantees for Ukraine and concessions on land swaps as part of a possible deal. But Zelensky suggested such guarantees would need to be stronger than those that didn't work in the past, expressing hope that US and European unity will push Russia toward peace. Trump is now pushing for a peace deal rather than a ceasefire, citing progress with Putin. He also stepped back from new sanctions on Moscow despite pressure for tougher economic measures. Now closer to this region, Cambodia has strongly rejected Thailand's claims of planting new landmines along their shared border despite a ceasefire agreement. Senior Minister Lee Tuk dismissed the allegations as politically motivated, saying the mines found were unarmed and posed no danger. He also urged Thai authorities to avoid areas that have not been cleared of landmines, adding that Cambodia will move ahead with demining once both sides agree on boundaries. Thailand recently accused Cambodia of planting mines after 3 Thai soldiers were injured near the border. This came just days after both countries agreed to a ceasefire following last month's deadly clashes. Thai officials, meanwhile, say more than 99% of landmines on their side have been cleared, with efforts ongoing to assure safety for residents and continued cooperation with Phnom Penh. We have more after the break. Stay tuned.
Apabila kelangsungan hidup jadi pelajaran,
거래하고 싶은 게 있어. 다이아에 넣어달라고?
Anda perlukan satu pasukan.
우리 같이 스터디 그룹 하자.
Bersendirian takkan berjaya.
Korang semua akan diuli, diketuk dan ditarah.
Berjuang untuk apa yang kamu percaya.
난 너한테서 가능성을 봤다니까.
Stream cerita yang luar biasa. Bila-bila masa, apa jua cara. Sehingga 4 peranti mudah.
Terbukti bahawa tahap kesediaan digital yang tinggi membolehkan usahawan PMKS menerima kemajuan teknologi, meningkatkan inovasi dan daya saing. Nak tahu bagaimana nak menilai tahap kesediaan digital dan mempercepatkan transformasi digital syarikat anda? Temui kami di 5 lokasi: Perak, Sabah, Kelantan, Melaka dan Selangor. Jumpa di sana.
Myanmar's military junta has announced that the country's election will begin on December 28th. It will be the first vote since the junta seized power in a coup that plunged Myanmar into a civil war back in 2021.
State media reported that 55 parties have registered so far, with 9 set to contest nationwide. Authorities said that voting will be held in phases through December and January for security reasons, with exact dates to follow. Previous plans for polls were repeatedly delayed as the military struggled against an expanding opposition insurgency. But earlier this month, the junta transferred power to a civilian-led interim administration to organize the election, ending its state of emergency and appointing junta chief general Min Aung Hlaing as acting president. With the opposition barred or boycotting, the polls have largely been dismissed by Western governments as a way to cement military rule through proxy political parties.
China is calling for urgency in Washington's Ukraine peace talks, urging all sides to reach an agreement without delay. Foreign Ministry spokesperson Mao Ning says the process has to involve every party and deliver a statement that is lasting and binding.
She said any agreement must be fair and acceptable to all sides caught in the conflict. Her remarks came as Washington hosted high-stakes talks on Ukraine. The talks followed the previous week's summit between Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin in Alaska. That summit ended without a ceasefire deal, but included promises of stronger security guarantees for Ukraine. Mao said China welcomed dialogue between Russia and the United States and supported all efforts towards a political solution.
China has rejected claims by US President Donald Trump that Xi Jinping promised not to invade Taiwan during his term. Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson Mao Ning says the island is an internal matter for Beijing.
Speaking at a daily press briefing, she said Taiwan was an unalienable part of Chinese territory and that resolving the issue was a matter only for the people of China. She added that China would do its utmost to strive for peaceful reunification, but will never allow anyone or any force to separate Taiwan from China in any way. China views Taiwan as its own territory and has vowed to reunify with the democratic and separately governed island, a sovereignty claim that Taiwan denies.
White House Trade Advisor Peter Navarro claims that India's purchases of Russian crude are funding Moscow's war in Ukraine, a practice he insists must come to an end. He adds that New Delhi's growing ties with both Russia and China is deepening concerns in Washington.
Navarro argued that if India expected to be treated as a US strategic partner, it had to begin acting like one. India's foreign ministry has previously said the country is being unfairly singled out for buying Russian oil, while the US and European Union continue to purchase goods from Russia. Navarro claimed India was acting as a global clearinghouse for Russian crude, converting embargoed oil into valuable exports. He said the process gave Moscow the dollars it needed to sustain the war effort.
Now over in Israel, massive protests are escalating with hundreds of thousands demanding an end to the war in Gaza and a deal to bring home hostages still held by Hamas. The rallies erupted in Sunday in cities across the country, one of the largest demonstrations since the war began in October 2023. Protesters say enough is enough, calling on the government to prioritize negotiations over military action.
Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu criticized the protests, saying they could strengthen Hamas's position and complicate ongoing hostage negotiations. The protest comes just days after Israel's Security Cabinet approved plans to capture Gaza City, nearly 2 years into a war that's devastated the region and triggered a worsening humanitarian crisis. That move is facing growing opposition at home, especially from families of hostages who fear a broader offensive could put their loved ones at even greater risk. Hamas, in a statement on Sunday, condemned Israel's planned evacuation of Gaza City residents as a new wave of genocide and displacement. Meanwhile, Egypt and Qatar are leading a renewed diplomatic push for a 60-day truce and the release of remaining hostages after earlier talks in Doha collapsed.
Iran says it will continue talks with nuclear watchdog IAEA amid mounting tensions and a month-long standoff over inspections. Foreign Ministry spokesperson Ismail Baghai says a new round of negotiations with the International Atomic Energy Agency or IAEA is expected to begin in the coming days.
IAEA inspectors haven't had access to Iran's nuclear sites since June, since Israel and the US bombed them. Tehran claims a report from the nuclear watchdog, released in May, paved the way for those strikes and triggered the IAEA Board of Governors to formally accuse Iran of breaching its nuclear obligations. Iran has repeatedly denied it is developing nuclear weapons, insisting it remains committed to the Non-Proliferation Treaty, which limits nuclear work to peaceful users. Last month, Tehran enacted a law suspending cooperation with the IAEA. Under the new rules, the IAEA must get clearance from Iran's Supreme National Security Council before conducting any future inspections.
At Syrian displacement camps in Jordan, survival is about more than just food and shelter. It's about other human needs as well, which are privacy, hygiene and dignity. For displaced Syrians, even the simplest act of using a toilet is a daily struggle. This is a story from Jordan shared by our correspondent, Pia Ernandia.
Mission Director of Charisma Humanitarian Outreach Mission, COM Malaysia, Nick Marina Hussein, recalls seeing the conditions firsthand.
The first time we entered the camps, the refugee camps. The first time was in 2018. And that was the first time that we saw the living conditions of people who are known as refugees. No one wants to be called a refugee. None of us want that, because refugees means you escape from a country and war. All right. So when we first saw the refugee toilet, I looked at it in disbelief. It's not a human toilet. It was only 4 poles, cloth surround as walls, and there was not even a toilet bowl inside. It was just a piping, and that's it. So hygiene level, they tried to keep it clean. Unfortunately, they cannot, because at that time it was winter, so it was very muddy, and it's very cold. So imagine living in a tent, and it's raining or it's winter, and you want to go to the toilet at night, and you have to go out of your tent and walk about 10 meters ahead. And if it rains, you get wet just to go to the toilet.
This experience prompted COM to create the Dignity Toilets, which are mobile toilets with zinc walls, proper toilet bowls with piping systems, and water barrels. According to Nick Marina, these simple innovations have given them something they had been denied for years.
They don't need to come up to me, because for me to even witness such things, I think we are living in the year 2025. This shouldn't be happening. They do not know how water comes out of the tap in terms of from the wall. They've never seen water coming out from the wall. They have to pick up, they have to walk from one place to another to get water, and then they have to bring that water to their makeshift toilet, and in that situation. So I don't have any particular story when it comes to the toilet, but what I can say is the toilet is a story by itself for all refugees.
In a world where survival often overshadows humanity, these simple toilets stand as a quiet but powerful testament to compassion. And for Nick Marina, even small changes can make a world of difference.
That report wraps up AWANI International tonight. Stay tuned for our reports on the rivalries, strategies and the shifts behind the power fast driving the new global order. Visit international.astroawani.com for more. Be sure to follow our social media accounts. I'm Hafiz Marzukhi. Thank you for watching and good night.